Right, guys, today we've got some Dana White delusion about Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall and blatant disrespect, if you ask me. Now, Dana White did an interview with Kevin Iole, and this has been trending on Twitter the last few days. I've only just seen it. Big shout out to Happy Punch on Twitter for this. And also, big shout out to Kevin Iole because he actually comes at Dana White with some really good, thought-provoking, challenging questions. Not like the majority of the journalists in MMA these days. So what do you think about Jon Jones being the greatest of all time? No. None of that bullcrap. Kevin Iole actually challenges Dana White, and you can see Dana White gets frustrated in this interview. But a part of me does think that Dana White somewhat respects Kevin Iole for asking these hard, tough questions. Now, Dana White and Jon Jones, they've had a funny relationship because at one point, Dana White was calling Jon Jones out for steroid use, and it was almost like he didn't like him. And he'd also say, me and Jon Jones don't have a great relationship. However, now he's just up his arse constantly and almost dismissing Tom Aspinall. We're going to dive straight into this interview. Let's listen what Dana White is challenged with.
How could you not love what Tom Aspinall did? And so that's where I want to start with you. You know, I wrote a column after the fight. I know you're adamant that Jon Jones is going to fight Stipe Miocic. And I agree with the argument that people say Stipe is the greatest heavyweight of all time. But he hasn't fought in 3 years. He's coming off a loss, and he hasn't won in 4 years. So how does that qualify him for a shot at the heavyweight title?
That's actually a really good question. And I was actually thinking in this moment that Dana White might have actually said, good question, Kevin, because I've never heard someone with such a direct question like that, but said in somewhat of a professional way.
Well, this title fight was supposed to happen a long time ago.
It was last year. Wasn't it set up at the start of last year? The only reason why we haven't seen it yet is because Jon Jones tore his pec minor, which, let's be honest, a pec minor tear off the bone, it's a significant injury. We don't deny that. But Dana's saying it was a long time ago.
You know, all the things that happened from injuries to whatever else they got in the way.
One injury. That's all it was. It was Jon Jones's pec minor. Jon Jones has been on a hiatus for the better part of 2.5 years. Before the Cyril Gane fight, what was he doing then? He wasn't injured. He was just living the life, getting into trouble, doing cocaine, taking steroids maybe.
I just think, I feel, you know, you got two sides of the coin. You got everybody talking about, oh, Dana doesn't respect this guy, and he doesn't do this, and he doesn't do that. I'm showing both of these guys the respect. They want to fight each other. It's a fight that they both want to happen. Total respect fight.
It's a total respect fight. Let me play that again. Look at Dana White's energy. Dana White does not know how to promote this fight between Stipe Miocic and Jon Jones. He says, you know, they both want to fight each other. It's been set up for a long time, and they both respect each other. It's a respect fight. What's that mean? Listen to how he says this. He doesn't know how to promote this fight.
Total respect fight. I think they both deserve it. And, you know, at the end of the day, I get it. Everybody wants to see Tom Aspinall. But let me tell you what, after Stipe and Jon fight, whoever wins, the Aspinall fight's even bigger.
No. Jon Jones is going to retire. He said it a few times in the past. And I know Jon Jones is just trying to stay relevant by potentially entertaining the Tom Aspinall fight. He's almost being ambiguous with the stuff that he says. Sometimes, like when Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones had that little bit of a face-off at that expo, Jon Jones said, maybe in the future, we'll see. He didn't definitively say, sorry, Tom, I'm retiring after the Stipe fight. He's kind of left the situation as an open book, open-ended, if you like. But Dana's saying here that the Tom Aspinall fight is going to be massive after Stipe and Jon Jones fight. But literally, in a few seconds, he contradicts himself.
But then you know the next question, which is going to be, of course, you know, Jon has hinted quite a bit at retirement. And Stipe flat out said, I don't want to fight anybody else but Jon Jones, right?
And 100% going to retire after this fight.
Wait, what? So the winner of Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic is going to fight Tom Aspinall. But if Stipe Miocic wins, he's going to retire. Therefore, what happens to the belt then? Tom Aspinall is the interim champion. An active interim champion, by the way, who is also defending the interim belt. He's doing more than what Jon Jones is doing. Jon Jones has been sitting on the side, holding up this heavyweight division. And I know he's injured, but I just can't help to think, if this was a different division, they would have stripped Jon Jones of the belt by now. Remember when they pretty much forced Aljamain Sterling to fight on 8 weeks' notice, right after his fight with Henry Cejudo? He was telling Hunter Campbell, oh, I just need to nurse a few injuries, you need to give me a little bit more time. And they forced him and they manipulated him into fighting. And I guarantee that if Aljamain Sterling didn't fight Sean O'Malley 8 weeks later, they would have stripped him of the title 100%, and they would have said, we can't have him hold up the division. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. We've seen this happen with multiple fighters in the past. If they can't defend the title when the UFC want them to defend the title, then they get stripped and say, oh, we don't want you holding up the division. Why the privileged treatment for Jon Jones? This is Dana White privilege right here.
And then, listen, Jon Jones, I've said this, you know how I talk about Jon Jones and what I think of Jon Jones.
Jon Jones, you know Jon Jones and what I think of Jon Jones. Jon Jones. He loves that name, doesn't he?
Fighter. I talk about Jon Jones and what I think of Jon Jones as a fighter. Jon Jones always loves to challenge himself. Moved up to heavyweight. I don't know what Jon Jones will do after this fight, but I would be shocked if he didn't want to test himself against Aspinall.
Right.
No. Jon Jones is going to retire. And actually, we kind of have some proof that Jon Jones is going to retire. This is now trending on Twitter. And this guy said, fun fact, Jon Jones wasn't playing. He thought that was his wife. And then Jon replied, fun fact, after this year, Jon Jones will never have to work again. Retired at age 37, winning. So he's 37 now. It's confirmed Stipe Miocic, after the Jon Jones fight, is retiring. And Jon Jones is saying it himself here. Look, maybe he's just being clever. Maybe he knows that we'll do videos about this and give him more exposure. But I don't know. I honestly think that Jon Jones is going to retire. I've said this from day one. I think after the Stipe fight, Jon's done. And you got Jon himself saying the exact same thing. So where does this leave Tom Aspinall? What actually happens when Jon and Stipe fight and then they both retire post-fight? What does Tom Aspinall do? Do they then just gift him the title and just give him the undisputed championship? Or has he got to fight again against a new upcoming contender for the real belt, which he's technically already got? We've got to stand up for our fellow Englishmen.
Everything that I've been saying, right? These are fucking facts. These are facts. It's not like me and Jon Jones have this unbelievable relationship like I have with Ronda and Chuck Liddell and Connor and some of these people that have fought in the past, right? Yeah. We know this is not the case.
I mean, I've never heard Dana White defend anyone like how he defends Jon Jones. And Jon does questionable stuff. As I say, holds up the division, is a nightmare to work with, popped for PEDs. And I might also add, stuff that Conor McGregor has never really done. Has Conor McGregor ever held up a division? Not really, no. Not in the same way Jon Jones has. He's always there, and he's always teasing fights, but he's never just won a championship and then got off. Obviously, he did move up to lightweight, whilst still holding the featherweight title. But it's not like this Jon Jones situation where Jon beat Cyril Gane. Was it over a year ago now? Jon Jones and Cyril Gane fought on the 5th of March 2023, and he's still got a hold of the title. A year and a half, pretty much. So Conor is nowhere near as bad to work with as Jon Jones is, and Conor's went on record and said that the UFC are kind of screwing me over. They're being pains in the ass. They're trying to drag me contract out because I've got 2 fights left on my contract, and they're trying to drag it out so then I've got less pulling power when it comes time to renew my contract because I'm going to be older. I'm going to want less fights, and they're going to have all the power. This is what Conor's said. So Dana White supposedly has got a better relationship with McGregor than he has Jon Jones. However, all I see from Dana is him being up Jon Jones's ass when Jon Jones doesn't even deserve it, although he would probably like that.
What I'm saying about Jon Jones is undebatable what this guy has accomplished in his career. If he beats Stipe and he comes out and fights Tom Aspinall and beats him, it's already undeniable. Nobody, don't care how much you dislike Jon Jones for what he's done or what he's done. This isn't about personally who is Jon Jones and do you like him. We're talking about the baddest dude to ever walk the face of the earth in combat sports already. If he goes out and beats Tom Aspinall, he cements his legacy as the greatest fighter of all time.
Right now, I will agree with Dana on that. If Jon Jones goes out there, beats Stipe Miocic in fantastic fashion, then fights Tom Aspinall and beats Tom, you can't really argue about GOAT status. He's definitely one of the greatest of all time. I know his last few fights at light heavyweight were decisions. He lost against Dominic Reyes. Well, yeah, he lost. I've got to do this because some people in the comments are like, oh, Sean, he didn't lose. He won that fight. Go and look on his record. You don't know anything. You're a casual. No, he lost against Dominic Reyes. Dana White, believe it or not, said that himself. Dana said that he had Dominic Reyes winning 3 rounds to 2. A lot of the MMA community also believed that. Professional MMA fighters also believe that. So go and call Dana White and these professional MMA fighters are casual, okay? I'm losing where I'm up to. What was I even saying? I've started training again, and I lifted the 40s today on flat dumbbells. Strength is coming back massively. Also, my training app was meant to launch yesterday. I've pushed it back to August the 22nd because I want to put more content within the app, and it just gives me a little bit more time to market it. Quick little self-plug there. That's it. I remember what I was going to say. Dana White was saying that if he beats Tom Aspinall as well, he cements his legacy as the greatest of all time. I was somewhat agreeing with that as well. But let's take a little look at the pound-for-pound rankings. This is pretty crazy when you think about it. Islam Makhachev, obviously number 1 pound-for-pound ranking. Alex Pereira, number 2. Jon Jones, number 3. First off, I'm happy that Alex Pereira is above Jon Jones because I don't even think Jon Jones should be on there. Not with the sheer amount of inactivity that he's had. Who has he beat in recent times? Cyril Gane, that's it. And then when was his last fight before that? February 2020, 4.5 years ago. That's crazy. So the question is, why is Jon Jones on the pound for pound list? Dana White's basically saying that Jon Jones is the greatest of all time, but this isn't a greatest of all time list. Otherwise, we would have George St. Pierre on here. We'd have Anderson Silva. We could probably have a lot more names on here, but it's not. It's a pound for pound, meaning the who is the most relevant at the moment, who is beating the top guys at the moment. We've got Belal Muhammad at rank 5, 2 ranks below Jon Jones. Dana White, if this pound-for-pound list holds any weight, why is Belal Muhammad only 2 ranks below Jon Jones? That's pretty insane. Belal Muhammad hasn't even really beat anyone like crazy yet. Okay, he got the win over Leon Edwards, Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady. So how the hell does this pound-for-pound ranking work then? We got Belal, who's ranked 2 below Jon Jones. By Belal being in 5th position tells us that it's basically what fighter has got a recent win over a champion, who's the most relevant, and who has just fought the best competition in the last fight or two. That's what the pound for pound rankings are. If you get someone who comes out of nowhere, not even in the top 20, and they get a title shot, let's just say they need a last minute step in, and they beat, let's say, Islam Makhachev, they're going to be in the pound for pound rankings the day after. That doesn't mean that they're the greatest of all time. No, that just means that they've got a recent win over a pound for pound ranked fighter, champion. So yes, if Jon Jones beats Stipe Miocic and he beats Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones deserves to be 3rd in the pound-for-pound rankings. I agree with that. But why is Alex Pereira only 1 place above Jon Jones when Alex has been active in 2 weight divisions and fought like 8 times in 2-3 years? There are so many more fighters, active fighters, who deserve to be in this list above Jon Jones. And even Kevin Iole said that. Big respect to Kevin.
Let me say this to you, because I sent you the video that I did after UFC 303, so I know you know what I'm going to ask you, but some people, didn't see that, and I know an interview with you, a lot more people are going to watch. And my argument was, hey, I agree with you. I think Jones is the greatest fighter of all time, no doubt. And if he had a fight, and, I have a rule when I say, if you haven't fought in a year, unless you have a fight scheduled, I don't include you in pound for pound because it's for active guys. The minute Jon fights, he goes back into the list, right?
Look at Dana White's frustration right there. What's Dana White's face?
Because it's for active guys. The minute Jon
right now, he laughs and then he says something to someone off camera.
Fights, he goes back into the list, right? But given that he's not fighting, is that fair where other guys are going out there and competing?
Great question. I was just had a voice break. Great question, Kevin.
Jon Jones is ranked number 3 pound for pound in the world.
By the UFC.
The most fucking ridiculous, embarrassing, stupid, know nothing about fucking fighting ranking of all time.
But it's your company that's doing the ranking. Are you saying that Jon Jones should be ranked higher? So that's what I mean. So what's Dana White's definition of the pound for pound ranking? Is he talking about who's the best, the greatest of all time? Or is the pound for pound list reserved for who is fighting the best competition currently? As Kevin Iole said,
Jon Jones is still an active fighter. He beat Cyril Gane. He got injured. He was supposed to fight. He's going to fight again in November. Jon Jones is the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world, period, end of story. Whoever, whether you want to call, Islam, Pereira, number 2, number 3, all good. To have anybody above Jon Jones right now just goes to show that you know absolutely nothing about combat sports and fighting.
Come on, Dana. That is a ridiculous statement. I know you're Dana White. This is your life. This is your company. You know MMA like the back of your hands, yet more than all of us. Okay, whatever. We bow down to you, sir. The UFC is amazing. He's just said that Alex Pereira and Islam Makhachev don't deserve to be above Jon Jones on the pound for pound list. So once again, it goes back to what is Dana White's definition of pound for pound. It's clear that what he's trying to say is the pound for pound list is basically the GOAT list. So why is Bilal on the GOAT list then? Dana's got that Alzheimer's kicking in or something, because I don't even know if he knows what he's saying and the implications of it.
Number two, the other thing about Jon Jones, when you talk about inactivity, any fighter in the history of fighting, including the God, who you consider a god and I consider a god, Muhammad Ali, was never the same again after his 3-year layoff, right? And Muhammad Ali wasn't doing bad things to himself, like Jon Jones was. Yeah. And Jon Jones comes back and looks even better.
He looks great. He looks better against Cyril Gane, who can't grapple to save his ass. Let's remind ourselves, Francis Ngannou out-grappled Cyril Gane. I don't want to sound like a Jon Jones hater. I like Jon Jones. I just think it's time for him to prove himself against the young guns and give the young guns that opportunity that he had against Lyoto Machida.
It's undebatable. Anybody who even tries to debate this with me, you're just hating on Jon Jones and you don't like him as a person. And I get it. It's not about whether you like him or don't like him or whatever. It's about based on facts and what he's done in his career.
I don't hate Jon Jones. I don't even hate Dana White. And I actually disagree with him. And I'll also say when I do agree with him, there's a few things I have agreed with him on, but I just think, what is his delusional definition of the pound for pound rankings? Now, final clip. Let me show you what he says about Tom Aspinall here. This is wild. Kind of disrespectful. He does give credit to Tom Aspinall as well. It's just the Dana delusion sets in at the end of his point.
Not enough credit being given for this. What he did to Curtis Blades, the way that he did it and how fast he did it, there's no doubt. I mean, this guy is a scary dude, and he looks like the future of the heavyweight division, right?
Fantastic. What else you got to say, Dana?
But at the same time, he's working his way up. He's climbing up the ladder, and everybody's like, he deserves this, and he deserves that, and he doesn't deserve anything. He looks great, and he looks like he's going to be the guy. You got Stipe and Jon, who have paid their dues. They've been here forever. They fought everybody. They fought all the fights that you could possibly fight. These guys deserve to fight each other. Whoever wins that fight, I think that they owe it to Aspinall to fight him and give him the opportunity that they've been given. You know, when you look at Jon Jones and Stipe, they beat all the guys, right? And you're either going to be the guy that's going to cement your legacy forever, or you're going to hand the torch off the way the torch was handed off to you guys by all the guys that came before you.
Now, that was cool at the end, right? So he's given some props to Tom Aspinall, and he said, Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic, they owe it to Tom Aspinall to give him the shot. However, Tom is the guy who is giving the shots to other people because he's defending the interim belt. Tom's the active champion right now. I know he's not the unified champion, but the fact that Dana White refers to Tom Aspinall as up and coming and he's climbing the ladder, Tom's at the peak of the mountain. He's on top of the mountain and you're not invited. Just an absolute wild statement. I like Dana White. I like Jon Jones. I like Tom Aspinall, but sometimes he doesn't half come out with some questionable-ish. That Dana White delusion setting in. What do you guys think of this? Do you think that there should be some sort of contractual obligation for Stipe or Jon Jones to fight Tom Aspinall? Or do you think, well, you can't force them to fight, but Jon Jones should have relinquished his title a long time ago, because if this was anyone else, they would have been forced to do so? Comment your thoughts down below. Make sure you like this video for more MMA content we upload every single day. Subscribe. See you tomorrow.